All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are doing our weekly live stream. Normally it's done on Saturday. I do apologize for those of you who look forward to it on Saturday. I recently so tomorrow April and I are going to Universal Studios. I've been working very hard. I'm not a big theme park person, but I wanted to essentially say thank you for her kind of understanding that I wasn't able to spend any time with her the last 3 or 4 months. And so we're going down to Universal Studios. We're going to go specifically the Hogwarts section, the Harry Potter section. I'm not really a big fan of rides and things like that, but it should be fun. It's going to be a change of pace, and I'm looking forward to it. So we're doing that. So thank you again. I do apologize that we're not doing this on Saturday morning, so maybe the people who are usually here won't be here, but at least we'll get to have some people who aren't normally here. The good news is we are about to hit 27,000 subscribers, which means I'll do another live stream going on sometime around Sunday. So I think, where are we at right now? If we go to the dashboard, I believe we're getting pretty close to 27,000, which means time for another 1,000 subscriber live stream. I'm not going to stop doing those because now I'm doing the Sunday ones. This is just implementing. Yeah, we're at 26,814. So we'll be close enough on Sunday that I'll actually do a morning live stream there. You missed me. I've been putting out videos, man. I know I haven't been live streaming as much, which is why I'm also implementing this. I have been studying nonstop when I get home off work and maintaining YouTube and everything. My current role, I wasn't aware that we were going to be using Angular 4. I'm very excited that we are, but I wasn't aware because all my work was in AngularJS and all my testing was in AngularJS because that's what I knew. And so I kind of have you have the normal stuff that you're playing catch up on at a new job where it's okay, meeting the people, understanding how the organization functions, how it rolls, kind of getting taken out of your comfort zone in terms of I have to meet new people. I have to kind of go and meet with people I normally wouldn't meet with, which is fine. I get along pretty well with all the developers that I work with, which is great. And a lot of times it's easy to get along with developers because you're a developer and you have kind of the same hobbies, right? Like we were playing some board games tonight after work, and that was really fun, and I enjoyed that. Yeah, but on a technical side, I need to be much better with Angular 4. I'm almost done with my first Angular 4 course, the Angular 4 Front to Back by Traversing Media. So I think I'll actually review that course. It's been somewhat beneficial. I would give it probably at this point in time, although I'm not through it, about like a 4.25 out of 5. But also, I think it teaches you everything you know to get started with Angular. I don't think it teaches you everything you know to be an Angular developer, because I found just by me working through it on a production level or in a workplace level, there's quite a few things that are missing from it, but it is enough to get you going. So do some React programming tutorials. I have about 4 React tutorials up, building projects out from Free Code Camp. We have the recipe box. We have the to-do list. We have the, what's the other one? I forget what the other one is, but I think I have 3 or 4 React projects up there. You enjoyed the videos about the crappy employees to stay away from? Yeah. It's just one of those things, man, where if you don't talk about it, sometimes people don't know. Am I still in Florida? Did I relocate? No, I'm still in Florida. I didn't move or anything. The role that I accepted is only 20 miles away from where my apartment currently is. It's a little bit longer than where I went from 4 miles to 20 miles. So it's about 22-minute drive each way. So a little bit more of a drive than I would want, but still not an unreasonable drive. So yeah, no relocating, which is good. I didn't really want to leave Florida. Ricky comes out with the look at the slide for 350. Thank you, Ricky. If you guys don't know Ricky is one of the other coding channels that I watch out there. He's a good guy at the end of the day. That's what I like about Ricky more than his content. I just like Ricky. So I hope you don't take that in the wrong way, my friend. But shout out for Look at the Slide. If you don't understand the reference, you should watch today's video. Yeah, so life is good, man. I wanted to make sure that I was able to do this sort of hour live stream. It's it's a bit stressful though, because I know I'm not where I need to be for Angular, but I know I will get there. It's just until you're there, you kind of have a little bit of stress. And there's been no pressure really put on me. I am building out. I'm basically doing my first real project at work, and that's exciting, right? And I'm kind of getting from my previous work where I could pretty much architect the front end, the back end, wireframe it out, build it out with very little oversight. I have a little bit more now where we have an architect, we have a tech lead, and I like it a lot because that's one of the things that attracted me to the role is I want to learn from these people who are more senior than myself and be able to gain some knowledge from them and what's the best practices. So I ask a lot of questions, and I encourage you to ask a lot of questions. And it's a bit intimidating, right? Because no matter how friendly somebody is, you know you're taking them out of their work, even though it's part of their role, right? So I'm trying to ask as many questions as I can, and eventually I'll ask less and less and less. Or, and I've basically been jumping between 3 developers asking questions. And part of it is just me getting accustomed with the tools. Part of it is not knowing Angular very well, or Angular 4 very well. Part of it is just kind of seeing like, hey, what's okay? Part of it's just wanting to learn, One of the things I said in my interview process for everything is I really emphasize I'm trying to learn from people. And so that's kind of and the reason I bring it up is not to talk about how like there's a limit of how many questions you should ask or anything. I think a lot of people probably don't ask as many times as many questions as they want because they're scared that they may bug the developers or anything. I'm on the end where I'd rather ask so many questions that eventually they just tell me like, hey man, I got work. Like I'd rather push them to the limit because I do want to learn, and I do want to take this environment to where I can just like, you have these people who are brilliant, and you're like, I want to get to where they're at, and it's okay to ask questions, right? And also, I'm not saying instantly when you get an issue, ask. Spend 15 minutes on a situation, and oftentimes you can learn a lot in the process. Like I already have a question I need to ask on Monday on the current project I'm working on. And I have no real solution as to why. Like I know a bootleg way to make something work to do what I want it to do, but I know it's not the best way. So I'm going to ask about that on Monday. I'm still working with Angular. Yes, Angular 4 is what I am working in. I'll be working in that primarily. In terms of the front end. I am a front end dev, and that's part of it. What do I need to do? Without getting into too many details, basically our Angular module needs to import certain parts of Angular, and you have different components, and some are nested within the other. Now, my understanding is the package that I need, the part of Angular I need should be nesting downward into my component, but it's not. And one way of fixing it, the bootleg way, is just create another module in that component and instantiate it. But it's not the best way. It's not the best practice. And there's clearly something wrong with my logic as I'm doing this that I could probably handle. I could probably go and just talk with one of the other developers more familiar with Angular 4, and they'd be like, oh, well, this is where you messed up, and take 5-10 minutes of their time. So like a good example of something that I asked was this morning, actually, where I was injecting data from one component to another. And one of the issues I was having was that there's like 5 different ways of doing that. And so I don't know what the best way is for what I'm trying to do. So they have a C# backend. I'm not sure about the database. But they also have multiple projects, so it could be different on the stuff. How's your YouTube course coming along? Unfortunately, not very well. My main priority right now is to get caught up at work. Until I feel like I know Angular 4 like the back of my hand, I probably don't have time for. The only thing that I took a break from studying after work was I did some code fight algorithms, and that was like my break. I've been doing like code fights algorithms right before bed, like 30 minutes to an hour, because I'm getting a little burnt out. I don't like, I've just watching so many courses and tutorials and stuff like that. It does burn me out a little bit. I like the coding aspect more, and the watching of video tutorials, it's not always the most fun. For at least for me anyhow. Should I look into getting a Mac to be very versatile? I have a Windows desktop. I don't know how Mac makes you more versatile than a Windows. How comfortable do you feel now with your Angular knowledge? I mean, I feel very comfortable with AngularJS, and I am now kind of at the point where I'm on Angular 4. I would say I'm not comfortable. I've really only been working with it for a week. I kind of understand how the component architecture works. I understand the point of services. I understand all that sort of stuff because some concepts carry over. Kind of syncing it all up is a little bit different. But it's the type of stuff where once or twice, then it's all clicking in. So there is progress being made without a doubt. I'm just not where I need to be. That's all. So I'm at the point where it's clear that I haven't been working with it too long. But I'll get there. I'm not even remotely worried about that because I am putting in the time after work, and I am. Today's a little bit of a different day, but I might even after this, I might go and just continue to finish up this Angular course and go from there. So I think you can use services and that way have methods and data available globally, but I'm taking a course too. I'm not very well versed in Angular too. Yeah, services kind of are basically all your, they're a way for you to communicate data to and from. A lot of times you just use it to set up HTTP calls, for instance. Yeah. So WorldZ, I'm pretty sure that it's some sort of dependency injection issue. It could be something about I need to pass a certain parameter down to a child component. It's not really a child, but it's nested within. So I kind of am in the ballpark of where it's at. But instead of spending half a day looking for that, it's probably better to just kind of ask for some help and say, hey, this is where I would check and see what happens. But yeah, so I've been loving it though, man. So having worked with the React and studying React, it felt nice and fresh and new. But like I think when it comes to Angular, because I've worked in AngularJS, it feels like I like the massive architecture of it. I really do. And not everyone's for that. But maybe I'll do some Angular 4 tutorials down the road as I continue to get better. I would say realistically, it's probably going to take me about 6 weeks to get up to speed. We're finishing up the second week right now, and it's going to take me about 6 weeks to get to where I need to be. So until I feel like my Angular is there, because that's the big holdup. That's where the bulk of my work comes. And it's not only Angular I need to study, right? I need to study on testing. I need to study on BootStrap 4. I need to review a little bit of CSS. It's not a big deal now because we're dealing with stuff that doesn't necessarily need to be pretty right now. But down the road, I want to make sure my CSS is for the more client-facing products is better. So it's been great though. I honestly can say this is probably no disrespect if anybody is from my previous workplaces. This is probably the best company I've ever worked for, hands down. And it's exactly what I was looking for, sort of a group of guys who are passionate about code and, you know, are using the latest technologies, and a place that I could see myself staying at for a while. I say this, and then Monday I'm going to get fired. It's like I could be there forever, guys. So about that later. Yeah, the people I work with are very, very interesting and very cool. Our tech lead has like, is all way into like 3D printing, and he has like his at-home foundry where he smelts things and whatnot, and like that's super dope. I kind of, without sounding like strange, but I kind of see a little bit of me in him, because like we like he's very into side projects. I'm like kind of out there into side projects, and we both kind of understand the personal branding and social media aspect. And I'm just trying kind of getting mine started, and he's kind of on the same path. So it's kind of nice because you don't get to talk to a lot of developers who get it. So that's kind of cool. And it's one of the things that I really liked about my interview process, was I could tell that. It happens that he's one of my superiors and whatnot, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, it's, I got nothing but great things to say, to be honest. If I had one negative aspect to say, I'm not as accustomed to having as many meetings anymore. My 2 jobs ago, when I was a technology trainer, I had a lot more meetings, and it's kind of about the same. It's just taking me a second to transition. I had about 10 meetings for the last year, and now I kind of have like 10 meetings a week. What, in your opinion, gave you the edge over the other candidates that applied to the job? Well, I could say that I don't know anything about the other candidates, so I can't really speak to that specific point. You know, why they hired me over somebody else, but I could tell you why I think I got hired, and why I think, you know, I had multiple offers. I you know, without comparing myself to others, I guess is what I'm trying to, because I don't know what the other candidates were at, right? Like maybe I was just a better developer, you know, and than the person getting hired, and that's a possibility. Like I don't think I'm a great developer, but it's a possibility. So personally, I don't think that's the case. So without putting myself against somebody else, I think it was a couple things. I think I was a good culture fit. So in terms of culture fit, I am a pretty easy. I consider myself somebody who's pretty mellow, and like I don't mind. Like I can take it and give it back at the same time, right? Like I don't mind if someone puts me into an uncomfortable situation, and like I was like, okay, cool, I'll just put you back in an uncomfortable situation, right? Like today, and I like, so in this particular company, they're really looking for developers long term. They're not necessarily looking for someone who's going to be there a year, and I got kind of drilled on that when I got interviewed. And because that's what they're looking for, right? There's plenty of developers who are going to get up and go, and you know, that's not what they want. They're trying to build out their development department and go from there. So in my case, I think it was a couple things. One was that I really am not looking to relocate, and I think that was pretty apparent from my interview questions. I'm looking to, my goals aligned with what they were looking for, which was I want to grow and I want to be promoted down the road, right? So that was one thing. I also think more than anything else, though, just sort of a passion for learning and being able to prove that I'm always studying is something that's very attractive when hiring junior developers. And it's not like a lie either. Like you can clearly see that I'm passionate about development. I put out 5 videos this week. I also solved 10 code fight algorithms. Not that you guys have seen that, but on top of that, I've also been working through, I think I've worked through 8 hours of a Angular tutorial at this point, and not to mention the BootStrap 4 crash course and the CSS crash course and the jQuery crash course and the 2 Angular 4 crash courses that I've done on YouTube to prepare in the last 2 weeks and just kind of get up to date and make sure everything's clicking. So I think in terms of just being an eager, hungry, and always working, always learning developer, that was probably something that made it. But I think also on top of that, looking for a good culture fit and basically somebody who's going to work well with others and going to be able to be a team player, right? And when you're working with a larger team of developers, you need to be able to kind of bond a little bit. You need to be able to have some fun, right? So like a good example of that would be today, where after work the guys played board games. I was super stoked about that. Like, you know, and it's not that like it kind of coincided with my plans. I was planning on doing this live stream, but I had to do it a little bit later. But I wanted to do that, right? These are people I enjoy spending my time around, and people that I'm learning from, and people that like enjoy playing those dorky board games, right? So that's kind of it. Now, I would just say between a culture fit and being eager and hungry, I think that's kind of what they were looking for, and somebody who is looking to kind of move up. One of my goals is I've never been promoted for a job. Part of that is I didn't really enter the workforce till about 3 or 4 years ago. In reality, like I say workforce, I've been working since I was like 13, but in terms of a career, I haven't really entered the career working world till the last 3 or 4 years. But in the last 3 or 4 years, I haven't stayed anywhere long enough because I've been kind of transitioning my job and finding the right place. I think I found it. And I would say that one of my goals is to be promoted. Like, it's not even necessarily about the money. It's about proving to myself that I can convince somebody else that they want to keep me around. I think promotions. So that's one of my goals, right? So, hey, Dylan, quick question. Are you available to answer some Angular related questions next week? If you're talking about a mentor session, it depends on what you're trying to get at. But yeah, I think people when they want to, the selling point for me as a developer is that I'm very passionate about the stuff and I'm eager to learn, and it's shown. And so I think that's really what it comes across for me. Norma or OBS, I just decided to do the event today. I just didn't want to bother with all the other stuff. Do you think a blog is necessary for a portfolio? No, but I think there's other ways that I think a side project is. If your portfolio is going to be a bunch of weather applications or stuff that isn't too unique, I think you're going to struggle. And I think if you can show a passion for whatever it is that you're working on, that's a better situation. And in my case, I have a couple different side projects. YouTube channel being the biggest one, probably the Facebook group next. I'm working on a podcast that I'll start promoting on my channel. I've started a book and the coding course, and I started working on a Chrome extension app today. So it's just one of those things where I think that there's a lot of different ways that you can show you're passionate about coding. I volunteered through code.org for whenever they call me for talking to kids about software. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can do. What place does React have in my future? Well, in terms professionally, very little at this time, as far as I know, unless for some reason the architecture on future projects changes, or I'm not privy to those conversations. In terms of personal, once I get up to date on my to-dos for work, I'll be able to start finishing up the React Nano degree. So I was in the process as I was, kind of accepting interviews. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start studying React because I think if I had AngularJS experience, I could get an Angular 4 job while I don't have any React experience. So I may not be able to get a React job. And it ended up working out just like that, coincidentally. So that's kind of what I'll be doing in React in the future. I enjoyed React. I really did. But I like Angular also. So it's I think that there's a little bit more of a learning curve initially to Angular, but I think I'll enjoy Angular more than React because I already find myself really just start like I was like, oh yeah, I remember this, and just like it's all fun to me though, man. I actually want to start doing a little bit more vanilla JavaScript. Am I watching the finale of Rick and Morty? No, man. So for those of you who don't know, I don't watch any TV. One of the few TV shows that I watched was Game of Thrones. I do watch some anime, but besides that, the bulk of my viewing entertainment is YouTube. I usually watch it and throw it up in the back. I listen to some news when I get home from work and then before bed. Any advice about learning WordPress so I can become a freelancer? Learn something else. WordPress will get you pigeonholed, and you won't make any money long term. How's the new job going? Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I guess my only real stressor with that is just kind of knowing that I have work to do. And I wouldn't say that they're putting that pressure on me, but you have to put that pressure on yourself if you want to maintain your job. So it's just one of those things where I want to be where I know I should be, right? And so I'm about to finish. I have the 3 sections. I'm 70% through Traversity Media's Angular 4 front to back course, which is about 10 hours of content. And the last 3 sections are you basically building projects out. You build 2 projects out. So I'm excited to do that. I'm hoping I pick up a few things through that. And then when I'm done with that, I'll be jumping into Max's Angular 4 course, which has like 26 hours of content. It's insanely large. And I think when I finish that, I'll be where I need to be. So my goal is to finish both those courses within the next month. Although this weekend is going to be kind of a wash because I'm taking April to Universal Studios. And that's going to take all Saturday. Been too busy to finish off the Angular front to back from Traversity. Yeah, I'm going to get it knocked out and finish it. And I'll throw if I don't know if you can put a course like that on your LinkedIn, but I might do something like that for fun. I think it'd be pretty cool just to kind of start like certificate hunting a little bit of the Udemy courses. I don't know too much about the Django market, Bobby. Sorry, I can't really help you out there. Yeah, I'm just a little JavaScript lad. But yeah, it's interesting working in a new workplace and just kind of trying to find your voice a little bit. Everyone's been really friendly, but even with everyone being friendly, you have to kind of get out of your own head, right? So like the architect, for instance, very nice guy. I'm a little bit intimidated, and I have no reason to be. And most of it's just because he's a senior individual at the company, and I'm just like, I know he's busy. I don't want to step on his toes. And so it's not because like he's like picking on me or anything, but it's a very interesting situation where you have to get out of your shell. And even me, I'm not like a super introvert, but it's something that I'm kind of I tend to, in awkward situations, become much more of one than I normally am. Excuse me. What do I think of all this digital marketing? I think digital marketing is a field that is growing very fast and the colleges haven't caught up to, which is why you can get a lot of people who can be self-taught digital marketers. and can go and get jobs and probably make a decent salary in a year or two. Do you work with any boot camp grads now? I do. And what are your thoughts on the future of boot camps? So one of the members in my team is a boot camp grad, and my thoughts on the future of boot camps. So I have a video about this. I encourage you to watch it. It's called Why Are Coding Boot Camps Closing Down, or something along that line. And working with boot camp grad, a single boot camp grad, and being very familiar. You know, my podcast is with Nicholas Spinoza, who's a Hack Reactor grad, and you know, I've interviewed I've probably interviewed 10 people from boot camps at this point in time and talked to them about it. And I have kind of, to be honest, my opinion hasn't changed much. You have people who are very good, and you have people who are not. And the people who are not, they tend to go to boot camps and they skate by and they pass because they don't really fail anybody at boot camps for the most part. They just let you pass, and then you go and you don't get a job. But in terms of the boot camp industry, I think what you're seeing is consolidation of the good boot camps, while the bad boot camps are kind of going out of business. And part of that is that it's a lot of investment, and people these organizations are now competing with colleges who are now having boot camps, which aren't having the best programs either, by the way. But they have a better name because they're established entities in the education space, right? And so they have a better name just by that fact alone, because they're in the traditional education space, even though they're breaking off into a non-traditional education space. So I think that plays a part of it too. But I also think boot camps as a whole aren't something that you can really have a lot of different locations. It's a slow growing process. So a lot of the ones that have closed are some of the ones that are on the larger scale of things, and those are the I just don't think it's a business model that really scales very well. I think at times you can have maybe 3, 4, 5 locations if you slowly grow. Once you get past that, I think there's a lot of overhead, and I think that there is a lot of students you have to have that overhead, right? So sometimes there's boot camps that they only need 5 students to break even, and other times there's boot camps where they need 15, and on that, when they have 20 students, that's where they make their money. And so it kind of depends when you're dealing with overhead, especially when you're going to new markets. And so a lot of the boot camps that are closing are the larger boot camps that they expanded too quickly or something along that line. So the boot camp grads that you will work with, they're brilliant individuals. They were going to be successful if they were self-taught or not. And you kind of, in my opinion, you have a 50-50 result of boot camp grads. You have the people who are there who they didn't study, they didn't prepare, and at the end of the day, what they wanted a cheap meal ticket. And let me tell you, I love to code. I really do, and I've been pretty much coding every day for like 3 years now, or working on something to promote my software career. If you watch all like 700 of my videos, not once will you hear me say it is easy. And I think a lot of people go into this and they oh, it's challenging, but they're looking for something easy in terms of how can I transition from something else to this? And they, 2 weeks before boot camp, they say, oh, let's do this. It's a good career path, without ever actually really knowing if they enjoy it, right? Some people can't handle that challenge every single day, and some people don't know that they enjoy coding. My advice has always been the same for those who are looking to go to boot camps. On the low end, you need to be studying for 3 to 6 months, teaching yourself to code every single day, as many hours a day as you can. And so 6 months out you need to prepare for 6 months for your 3-month bootcamp. If you can't study every day, this isn't the thing for you. It really isn't. You're gonna find out in that 6 months if you should spend $10,000 in bootcamp, because it's not up to the bootcamp to tell you if this is for you. You need to do your own research. And a lot of the people, they kind of are transitioning from other careers. I don't blame them. I'm just saying it's a bad decision. I'm not trying to put blame on them. It's their decision, and they're making a poor one, not figuring out if coding is actually something they want to do, because there's other careers that you can go. April's studying project management right now. You could be a BA, a business analyst. You can go in all these different directions, UI, UX, Scrum Master, all that sort of stuff. But I would say, from talking with people I've attended boot camps, there's a good portion that there's probably about 20% of the class, and 20% is like 3 people, by the way, in a lot of these, 3 to 4 people, 20% of the class who isn't taking that seriously, and they were kind of just looking for an easy out. Another 20% that they're just not going to stick with it when they graduate, right? So when you get in the boot camp, when you get out, you're still in the boot camp. You're just not going to the location anymore. You still are in the grind. You're still improving. Now you're applying for jobs. You're continuing to build side projects, all this sort of stuff. And about 50 to 60% will probably be successful at the end of the day. There might be a 20%, 10 to 20% of people who burn out and transition into other markets, but they can also. Kristen Leak is a good example of that. I was talking with her yesterday, and she went to Tech Talent South, and she did a boot camp there, and but now she got really interested in UX UI, and so really in the design aspects. She does very little coding now, and so some people will find success that way, and it helps that they know some coding and how they can go from there. Do you have to pay with PayPal in Udemy? I don't believe so. Do you mention the Amazon course on Codecademy? No, that's going to be Tuesday's video. Amazon has a create your own Alexa app on Codecademy, is what James is talking about. Do I see any success in starting an app and digital marketing agency? I'm a big fan of marketing and social media, and I think there's a lot of success to be there. I do think it's a very hard thing to get going. I wouldn't have any idea how I would start something like that. But I do think that you can be successful in about almost anything if you work hard and you're creative in how you do these things. You're in a boot camp every day. So the Mexican guy says, yeah, I'm in a boot camp, and every day after the day I go through the lessons we did in that day. There are just some people who don't give a shit. I'm like, man, you're planning to learn this? Yeah. So this is the thing, guys. When there is a good situation, I do consider boot camps to be a good situation for in 3 months and $10,000, we'll say, you can get the equivalent of a $50,000 or $60,000 career, which is a lot of money for most people, instead of going through 4 years and we'll say $40,000. The average college graduate graduates with $37,000 in debt right now. It's going up. So we'll say $40,000. So 1/4 the amount of money. And in terms of time, you're going to be spending roughly 1/16 the amount of time. And you're going to end up with the same sort of starting salary, give or take. Now, that sounds like a too good to be true situation. It isn't really. It's not completely accurate, because you're going to spend less money, but you're also going to spend time preparing pre-boot camp and post-boot camp and all that sort of stuff. And you're going to have to continue to grind and learn as you would if you were at a college grad also. But when you have a good situation like that, where it's less time, less money, but just as much work, which a lot of people don't realize, they only see the less time, less money, and they think, I could do that, and I want that. That seems like a good situation. It's kind of like any sort of sales thing. You have good salesmen and you have bad salesmen. And sometimes these people, they just, I'll just go get my certificate, I'll get a job just like that. And it's not necessarily fully realistic. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And there's people who are trying to skip that work. And those are the people who typically are unsuccessful in the long term. You notice I'm doing more Ask a Dev type videos. Is the new job work intensive? No, I actually have a very normal 40-hour work week. But with a new job, I'm working with a lot of new technologies and things like that. I need to get caught up. So I don't really have time to do any build it tutorials. those are the ones that I like to do the most, where I build things, because I mean, that's what I enjoy about coding. I will eventually be doing some tutorials on different topics that I'm working in, testing, Angular, Angular 4, and all that sort of stuff. But I have to first get caught up and make sure that I give a quality tutorial, and more important than that, I have to make sure I do quality work at my job, right? Yeah, Justin the dev tends to agree with me, so let's talk about that. No, he says, yeah, I just finished a boot camp. I'm still building projects. Good. Did I go down the slide yet? No, I did not. I meant to, but I'm gonna do it on Monday. I need to go down it. It's been too long. So. Yeah, I actually think boot camps are great, and I think that it is something that a lot of college graduates end up going to just to learn the skills as quickly as possible. Even CS grads, the most impressive projects I saw, the only two people I'd be willing when I went to view the Iron Yards graduation were CS grads. So they had a different sort of upbringing, or not upbringing, but background, and they were able to flourish in that environment. So I think boot camps are a really great thing. It's unfortunate though that the CS grads felt the need to go spend another 10 grand after doing that. You've been finding it to keep yourself working on projects I felt passionate due to long-term effort required. What's your advice for building better self-discipline? Have you tried being really poor? That helped me. Let's see. That's not really a complete joke answer. That was really my situation where I was just sick of being poor. So I needed to get focused, and I did. But also I found a project that I enjoyed, right? YouTube is something that I thoroughly love to do. And the second you can kind of turn one of your side projects into something that helps promote your career or makes you money, that's when it gets real. And that's when you really start to enjoy it, because now you're actually getting substantial returns. So if you can turn your side project that you're going to start and see a way of monetizing it, even if it's like $20 a month or $20 a week, it'll be something that you'd be like, I'm looking forward to this. And even if you make less than $1 an hour when you work on it, it's going to be something that's going to motivate you. So if you could find a way to monetize what you're doing, or have it help promote your career, I think that'll be something that will make you really enjoy it. What's my stand on the whole NFL kneeling controversy? If you want to, you don't have to, if it's too controversial. I don't really have an opinion about this. I will say that I find it a bit distasteful that we have the president saying that these players should be fired, and the reason for that is I don't like I don't like government putting pressure on a public entity, a public company. And when you have the government, and Donald Trump is the president, El Jefe, if you will, and he's essentially saying fire these people for practicing freedom of speech, whether you agree with it or not. A big thing about freedom of speech is the freedom to say what you want within limits, right? Not like, oh, I'm gonna fire in a plane or something. It's one of those things where, okay, well, we can't let that because it's going to cause people to get hurt. In this case, you could say, whether you agree or not that they're disrespecting America, and it should be a fair statement to say that they are practicing their First Amendment rights, and whether you agree with how they're practicing or not, I don't think that the government should be putting pressure on an organization saying that they should fire these people. That's kind of what my stance on. Besides that, I don't really care. I watch the Super Bowl every other year, and that's about the only game I care about. I'm not super worried about it. I'm just trying to learn Angular. Would you choose a bootcamp or a Udacity course to put in your education field? I didn't go to college or take any courses, but I want something to fill that empty education space in my resume. I would say that either is fine. I kind of felt the same way, so I put free code camp on there as well as my Udacity React Nano degree. I put in progress. I would say if you can build up an extensive resume and extensive projects, that's also okay. But if you want something on there, I think the React Nano degree is there. I would say that when you do put something on there like that, when it comes up in conversation, whether in your interview, be ready to explain what it is. A lot of people don't even know what a Udacity Nano degree is or what free code camp is. So, you know, the example I've given so many times is how I have it on my LinkedIn, and I say it's estimated 500 hours of coursework. It covered, 40 algorithms, 10 projects, and included HTML, CSS, BootStrap, JavaScript, jQuery, and eventually I went on to teach these other frameworks to myself, and so on and so forth. So just be prepared when you do put that on there to be ready to answer questions for when that happens. Where was the Alexa skill course? Is on Codecademy. Is it bad for an 18-year-old to go to a boot camp? Say I go and complete one. Would it be hard for me to find a job because of my age? No. You get an internship or anything like that. Everyone's so worried about what age they work. You're worried about, am I too old? Am I too young? It's like, at what age are you right? Am I just right? Am I the Goldilocks zone of 29 going on 30? I would say, Brian, that I don't think there's anything wrong with you going to a boot camp, but I also think that you're young enough in your life that if you can, there's nothing wrong with you self-studying as well, and going that route and trying to gain internships and projects and just building out your side projects. Right, you're probably still living at home, and if you have that luxury and you're not paying any rent, take that time, self-study, if you're going to do it. And I say that because a lot of people want to do it, and then they go and they play League of Legends for 8 hours a day and they study for 30 minutes a day. So it just kind of depends where you're at. Get some sleep. I look tired. No, I'm not that tired. I get a lot of sleep, man. I get my 8 to 9 a day. I'm just a little. It's Friday, so it's how it is, man. It's Friday. You've been working all week, and you're kind of getting drained a little bit. All right, Milo, come on, buddy. Let's put you out of here. Come on, fat cat. Come on, fat cat. But yeah, so yeah, I get plenty of sleep. I don't even have that dark circles under my eyes. I'm looking pretty good, man. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I mean, minus the hair, but it's growing back, man. It's growing back. Look at that. I think I have a whole half an inch now. I got a whole half an inch at this point. But yeah, so I would say that so I also I have started exercising again. If you see right over here, I got the curl bar in here. I started to work out again. Not like super heavy workouts. Those will start in a little bit. But I started lifting again. I'm feeling pretty good. So I've been waking up early and working a little on here on YouTube and whatnot, and then I also go and been lifting. So that's kind of how my schedule has been, where I wake up about an hour before I take off. I have about an hour to work on things. I have about 15 minutes to get ready, hour to work on stuff, and then you ain't ready for the gun show, baby. Look at that. Yeah. But yeah, so I've been working about an hour in the morning on YouTube, and then when I get home, I kind of have been working on just studying and stuff like that. Kind of taking a day off tonight because I did the games, and it's Friday, and tomorrow I'm going with the missus to Universal Studios, and Sunday I'm gonna hit the books hard though. But when I feel like I'm caught up, I'm going to actually start putting in like 2-hour workouts like I used to, and I'll be looking like fucking simple programmer up in this bitch. All right. But yeah, so it's staying healthy is very important and whatnot, and I just haven't. I'll be going on a couple supplements to help out and whatnot, and I've done it before. So those of you who don't know, I weigh about 180 right now. Like 5 years ago, I weighed 140, and I was able to put on about like 140, 145. So I put on about 25, 30 pounds of muscle in about a year. I was actually probably the best shape, best shape of my life. And then I started coding, and then it kind of all went downhill. Those ladies gonna be on you like flies on honey. Yeah. Yeah. The second they say, hey, tell me a little about yourself. Well, I have a coding channel. I have a coding YouTube. I have a coding podcast. And for my fun, I like to look into how I can save money on taxes and how I can invest my money. And that's when I say, no, I like guys in bands and and I also don't drink. What's a good time for me is playing some board games with a bunch of other developers. It's a great time. I also like to study software. Okay, so we have nothing in common. So I'm going to pass on you, Dylan. That's how it goes. So I don't think she has anything to worry about. How do you go about solving programming problems such as the free code camp challenges? It's difficult for you. Whiteboarding is a great thing. If you haven't done that, start sort of drawing out with diagrams and arrows, sort of the pseudocode, if you will. And I think you'll have a lot more success with it. Also understand the documentation better, understand what methods are there, what array methods, what string methods, all that, what's going on. I am still in the Tampa area, yes. I did not move. Greetings to, shout out to our fans. Or not fans, I feel weird calling you guys fans. Shout outs to the homies. From Albuquerque, New Mexico. I hope it's kind of strange, right? So I'm in this position in life now where if I go somewhere, it's not unrealistic for somebody in the area to be there. Like I did a live stream when I was in Belgium, and somebody sent me a message on the Facebook group saying, "Hey, let me buy you a beer." And it happened that was in Belgium, and I was just like, that never occurred to me. But now I bet there's probably some people in here who are from the Florida area that if I wanted to do a meetup or at some point in time, or we could all grab a beer or something, we could do that. Or if I was going to New Mexico, for instance. So it's always cool to see where people are from. So it's an interesting thing. But it's also kind of strange for me. And the Real Steel 007 says, I'm a fan. You offer good shit for beginner programmers. I'm glad. It's just strange to say fan, right? I don't know. I don't know. It's very humbling, I guess, because I guess we're getting internet famous, boys. Suns out, guns out, baby. Once you start showing off the guns, the shit gets real. All right. Yeah. Also, the braces probably aren't another good thing for the ladies. I'm a good fix me upper. So I'm a good fix-me-upper. So the thing about me is April's been fixing me up for a while, right? So April and I have been dating for 7 years, right? And there's been times where April and I were sleeping on the couch together. There's been times where I was barely able to hold it together. There's been many a bad times where she's been waiting for me to get my shit together, and I finally have in the last 2-3 years. And so like the stuff that I needed to get through emotionally and physically and whatnot, and just taking care of things like braces and making sure that we're saving money and that we're gonna be buying a house pretty soon, all that sort of stuff. So it's yeah. She ain't gonna let me go that easily, boys. Is what I'm trying to say. April's been fixing me up for a good long while, right? So, and I'm not trying to go anywhere. So, it's an interesting world. Because you'll never really know, right? So like you can always count on the woman that when you weren't shit was there for you, right? When you were like, a college dropout, delivering pizzas, sleeping on a couch, and she was like, "Hey, you'll get there. I got faith," right? It's a lot. You know that when things are going much better, that you ain't got to sweat it, man. You've already been in the ditches, right? You've already been there. You've already done that, right? You've already lived that awful life, and so if we went back to that, they would be there to help carry you back, right? When they would help with that. And so I always wonder, just from like a very pragmatic standpoint of, if I ever was single again, would that, how would you know? I'm in a much better spot than I was, 3 years ago. It was just in that long of a time. And things are only getting better. Granted, I've been working very hard and I will continue to, but I can only imagine people who have real success, they're making 6 figures, 7 figures, where they would be at. I really could only imagine. But it'll be interesting to find out. Where can we get your autograph? When I finish writing my 100 inspirational stories of becoming a developer book, I will sign every copy that goes out. So if you guys want to buy a hard copy, I'll release it as an ebook. But if you want a signed copy, I'll sell it for like the same price, plus shipping. But I'll when I get that done, I'll sign a copy for anybody who wants to order it, if anyone's interested in that. Yeah, man. You guys want to see me? You guys want to see me back when I was in shape? I'll show you guys this. You guys aren't even gonna believe this is me, man. So, a lot of you guys aren't even gonna recognize me from back when I was in shape. I go ahead and I'm on my Facebook page real quick, so I'm just trying to show you an old picture of when your boy was looking large and in charge. So let's see here. 1 second, guys. Because none of you guys actually believe that I was ever in shape. I'm gonna show you right now. Look at that. I mean, this is me. You guys didn't even know I had tattoos, did you? You didn't know. This was your boy 3-4 years back when he was on the diet, looking swole as fuck. That was me right there. Don't question it. Just go with it. Anyhow, guys. Have I used freelance sites like Upwork? No, not really. Fall Out the Gun Show. You got. Have I thought about getting the new Associate Android Developer Certificate from Google? No, I'm not really too interested in app development. If I wanted to learn app development, there's web frameworks I can use now to learn that. So actually, so there's this one photo that April has this photo of me when I was like, when we first started dating. I probably got into shape like 2 years within when we started dating, and that was the best shape I was in. And I sent her this one like very douchebaggy photo where I'm like in jeans, I got no shirt on, I'm like taking a photo in the mirror, but I have like a six pack. I'm looking probably the best like body I ever had in my life. To this day, she has that photo as my picture, like when I call her, and like this is my boyfriend, and then they'll see me, and let me tell you, I don't look anything like that anymore. And they're like, "Is this your new boyfriend?" Like, um, so, which makes it even worse. Is this your new boyfriend? Like, oh man. Yeah. Yeah, the new improved boyfriend. The boyfriend traded in 20 pounds of muscle for 20K in salary. So he's working his way up. Oh man. What are your thoughts on Webflow? I really am not too familiar with it, to be honest. Let's do a little research on it. Let's see what's going on with the Webflow. By the way, Casey, I know you're Casey's the super fan. Okay, Casey's one of the regs. Thank you for sharing your tips for how to avoid a bad employer. Design and develop at the same time, huh? So this is like a website design tutorial, like a drag and drop. So this is just another drag and drop sort of website creator. Without diving into it, my whole thing is they're all kind of the same, right? They're all kind of the same. Where you're basically dealing with a drag and drop interface that's going to have limited functionality, and that isn't going to really fulfill the real world. Sites like that are good for like private sites, like maybe my Coding Tutorials 360 site, maybe my site. Maybe building like a site for your family or friends or a small business or a freelancer. Something like that's not going to be used for large corporations. There's just too much stuff that they need, and it provides no value. Those are web design sites at the end of the day. Do you use Windows or Mac? Also, is there much of a difference for front end? I use Windows. A lot of front end guys like Mac. I just happen to like Windows. I've been using it all my life. Did your early videos get a lot of views? The Codecademy ones? Some got more than others. I think the Python ones did the best. So I think like if we were to look at my Pythons, some of them have 20, 30,000 views. So. Yeah. I've been thinking about doing that. So Codecademy hasn't released any good content in a while. I kind of miss it. I have a video coming out about Codecademy on Monday or Tuesday. I also have a top 5 of my favorite coding channels coming out. And should you go to a coding boot camp, which I think you guys will like as well. I forgot what I recorded this morning. Oh, I also have a I was trying to break up. So like 3 months back, I did an interview with Kristen Leak, and I've been meaning to edit it up, but it's 2 hours long, and so you guys are just getting the full 2 hours. We talk about a whole bunch of stuff. We talk about coding. We talk about her coding bootcamp. We talk about her UI UX internship. It's been so long that her UI UX internship is like ended, and they extended it since I put it up. I feel bad because she had me on her channel also. Yeah, so I'm just gonna throw the whole two. We're talking about dating in there, so it was one of those interviews that flowed very well, but it was very hard to break up, and I'd have to watch 2 hours of it to break it up. So you guys are just getting the whole thing. So look forward to that if you like those long. Some people like the long-winded ones, but don't. Did I get the classic SNES? Not yet, but that is on the agenda. Let me tell you what, it is on the agenda 100%. Money's a little tight right now. I invested a little bit too much money, and April's kind of pissed at me, so about it. So I actually have to borrow money from her to pay rent. Your boy's investing too much of his income, and I'm like $100 or $300 shy of what I need to without moving money around. So I can't buy it quite yet, nor do I want to, because there are so many good games on it that I'm okay holding off until I caught up with work. And so free code camp or code academy, free code camp every time, baby. Free code camp. My videos when I first posted them, no, not really. They just kind of slowly gained views over time. I know you're trying to steal my views too, dev material. Trying to steal my views, man. No, good luck with your channel, man. If you guys aren't a fan of dev material, he has a great thing. The cryptocurrency crash take my money? No, I'm doing pretty good with cryptocurrencies. Yeah, I can't wait to replay Super Mario RPG, man. That's going to be one I'm actually going to blow through. I actually had an emulator of it on here maybe 2 years ago, but I couldn't finish. It always would crash at a certain point after like 3 hours in. But yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to the Super Mario RPG, the Star Fox 2 that never got released. There's a couple good ones. Final Fantasy 3. Like a lot of these games, I feel like I've bought a couple times on the multiple platforms. So it'd be nice just have it on one console. I hope they release more, man. I really do. I hope they release a second one with another 22 games or whatever is coming out on it. I have the NES Classic, and that was fun. Like, I played like 2 games on it, but the Super Nintendo Classic, I'm ready. Like, let's take a year of productivity out of my work. Yeah, so it's just one of those things where I don't want to get it until I'm ready to. I don't actually think I'm going to sit down and play it for like 8 hours, but I could see myself playing it for like 2 hours here or there, which is a lot longer than I normally do. I recently started enjoying. I haven't played it in about 3 weeks, but I recently started playing Dragon Quest Builders. That was kind of fun. What do you think of the courses on Udemy? I think that's the future education. I think that if you're going to be in software, you better get used to video tutorials, and Udemy is a great resource for that. Going to my first hackathon in 2 weeks. Any advice? Yes. So if you don't already have a team, try and get one. It's usually more fun when you have some friends going with you. Also, if they have prizes and topics, gear your project towards one of those and go from there. So like that would be my main advice, and just try to have fun, man. I know when I go, I get kind of overwhelmed. I enjoy them, but like if I don't have a clear project idea or I'm struggling, like this hackathon was a data science one, and I was depressed for 2 days after because I was only there for like 4 hours, but it was clear that I was beyond my capabilities and it really upset me. Don't do that. Don't do that. But definitely go have fun. Take it as a learning experience. Like, I don't know where your skill set is. And if they have prizes, I would say go and try and target towards one of the prizes that you think you can have based using their technologies. So, so do I have any course suggestions? I'm a big fan of if you just want like a good entry level Angular 4 tutorial. I'm going through Matt's gonna get me in trouble. I'm going through. I'm going through. I'm going through. I'm going through. I'm going through Traversing Media's Angular 4 course. Thoughts on the latest arc for MHA? What is MHA? Oh, My Hero Academia. The principal's quirk was kind of strange. Yeah. Yeah, you had me stuttering over here, dude, making up these lies. So the principals, My Hero Academia is really, I've been loving it. I'm excited to see what happens next with it. But it sounds like we're going to be introduced a little bit more to the League of Villains, which is exciting. They had one or two sort of snore episodes during the training, during the fights and whatnot, but I've been enjoying it. I usually watch it every Saturday morning when I get there. By the way, guys, if you're not subscribed already to Engineer Truth, I highly suggest you do. One of the few people on YouTube who will tell you like it is. But yeah, so I've been liking it. Is April still doing 100 Days of Code? No, but she's been studying for a project. For some project management certifications. So yeah, April's 100 Days of Code would have been up by now. We might come back and circle back around. To be honest, I just don't have the time to do it. It's kind of on me more, and she wanted to do something else. How would you want to progress as a developer? Focus on front end, back end, something else? It kind of depends on where you're at in your career. But if you're just getting started, kind of understand what you want to do. I'm assuming web development, but there are other things. You could be a native mobile developer. You could build desktop applications. But in this case, for web development, it's kind of your best bet is to use just go full stack JavaScript, because you'll accelerate the fastest, in my opinion. And from there, learn front end to the back end, and then start building things and work in the latest frameworks. And that would probably be the best advice I could give you. For me, I'm not too interested in mobile development, but there are a lot of frameworks now that you can go and build those things, and that'll be fun. But you know, it just depends what you're interested in. JavaScript's unique because you can do everything in JavaScript now. You can build web apps, you can build mobile apps, you can build desktop apps, you can build back end, front end, databases. So what's up with code fights? I've been doing them again, man. I'm hooked again. I've been doing them every night before bed for like 30 minutes to an hour. I've every day for like 5 days this week. It's kind of like, it's so strange. I watch the tutorials and then I want to code, but a lot of times you aren't coding during the tutorials. You're kind of following it until you get to the project section. And I go and I start solving the algorithms. So I did about 10 of them this week. And I've been loving it. And so I'll probably have more code fights videos. I love them, man. I really do. And sometimes they get super hard, and sometimes they get a little wonky, and you have to use some gold to cheat a little bit. But yeah, I love it. Do you, if someone doesn't have a job or go to school, how fast do you think one could become a web dev? That's such a hard thing to answer, because everyone kind of, it depends on how much of an effort you put in, how much, you know, how much time you're putting in, what your previous experience is, how good you are at math, how logical you are. Honestly, there's been people who've got up and running in 3 months, and there's been people who've done it in a month, and there's been people who've done it in a year. It took me, even with previous experience, about 7 to 9 months before I landed my first web dev job. And I had spent 3 years finishing up doing a CS degree, right? So it just kind of depends on where you're at in your career and where you're at in your experience, right? All right, guys. Ooh, it is past my bedtime. I appreciate all of you, and thank you again for showing up. Don't forget to go Severino at Engineered Truth as well. It's been a pleasure. I like to end my live streams on a little bit of a final thought, and we'll do it on this. We talked a little bit about me preparing and continuing to try and grow as a developer and starting a new role and go and transition into transitioning from one role to another. And it's a scary thing a lot of times because you're in a role, my previous job, there's no, I knew everything. I knew I knew everybody there, and I knew the situation. I knew that my job is safe and all that sort of stuff for the most part. And the point I'm trying to get across, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, is that I'm now in a position where I don't know everybody. I like everybody. I don't know everybody. And I'm in a position where I need to learn new things, which means that I'm not prepared for what I need to do. But I'm in a much better position for where I want to be. So even though that you may go into an unfamiliar situation in life, and you may go into something that's going to take more work than what you were doing before, and it's going to be harder in the short term, a lot of times when that struggle and that bettering of oneself, if you really are bettering yourself, it is going to be a struggle. There are going to be times where you're going to, I'm a little behind where I need to be, because where I need to be is much farther than where I'm at. And that's going to make me much better in the long term. So don't be afraid of those times when you are going into uncomfortable situations, because when you go into uncomfortable situations, that's when you grow, right? That's when you say, oh, look, I'm no longer where I need to be. I need to evolve. And that's how you become a better developer. That's how you make sure that you continue to stay up to date. It's a great thing to happen. So I would say next time you're in an uncomfortable situation, try and realize why. And if it's because maybe you're not as prepared as you need to be, prepare yourself and become a better coder, a better person, whatever it is. And hopefully that will make you better in life. So that's my final thought for today. Embrace the uncomfortable situations in every aspect of your life, and see if you can come out the other end as a better individual. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been the Saturday early live stream, which I was still on Friday, because I got shit to do tomorrow. I wish you all a wonderful weekend. I hope you're all coding hard. Don't forget to watch my video today, which was, I thought, a pretty good video about 3 tips to become to make sure that you don't get hired by an awful employer, because there are a lot of awful employers out there, and I try to share some of my tips. And so the comment section has been full of tips for what they use to avoid awful employers as well. And I know a lot of you are just like, look, man, I don't care if they're poking me with a pitchfork. If they give me some job experience, I'll take it. But you might want to be careful. So I wish you all the best of luck. Have a wonderful night. See you guys next time.